Hi everyone, welcome back. In this video we're going to be covering Steinitz's Immortal game against Bardeleben. I don't know if I did pronounce that correctly, but that's okay. And this is called the Battle of Hastings. Now, in this game, Steinitz is playing as white, and as we know, Steinitz is the first world champion. He was a big deal at his time. He lost to Manuel Lasker, who later became the second world champion, and he's also the longest world champion as well. Now, in this game, white is playing the Italian opening, so Steinitz starts with bishop c4, and now his opponent moved the bishop to c5, making the game into a gioco piano game. We have the center attack, and Steinitz goes for the c3 and then d4 idea to be able to get control of the center. Now, his opponent moved the knight to f6, which is the most common move, and then Steinitz goes with d4. We're attacking the center. His opponent captures it, white captures back, and now we have full control of the center. Black moves the bishop to b4 to attack the king, and in today's world we usually move the bishop to d2 to continue this way. And if they capture, you capture back with the knight, and now our knight on d2 will be supporting the pawn on e4, and the game will continue this way. But at this time, this was in 1895, yes, 1895, Steinitz decided to do Greco's gambit, which is going to be knight c3. After knight c3, black can capture this pawn with their knight, white usually does a castle, and the trap is, if black captures it, trying to get this extra pawn, attacking this rook, white can actually do this queen b3 move to do a battery attack towards f7. If black captures this, there are all sorts of attacks. Like if king goes forward, you bring the bishop to do a skewer. You can also do a checkmate if the king goes over there. We can do queen d5 checkmate. So usually we hope that the opponent captures it with the knight and then white castles. But in the game, Steinitz's opponent actually pushed the pawn to d5. Now, if black captures it and they don't capture the knight with their knight, they can instead use their bishop to capture this. This is going to be a very good idea from black's perspective. After that move, black can push the pawn to d5, and we're not capturing this pawn. And after black castles, we're in a good position as black. That's why we don't really play this variation, the Greco's gambit, knight c3 variation in today's world. But Steinitz played it in 127 years ago, yes. That's a little math. Now his opponent pushed the pawn to d5, and there's going to be an inaccuracy. Steinitz captured, they captured back with the knight, putting pressure on this white knight. But Steinitz castles, and this is one of those main ideas. If black tries to get an extra pawn over here, white has the opportunity to attack the opponent's king. And if we can attack this king before they can castle, it's going to be a very good idea. Now his opponent brought the bishop to e6 to defend the king, and now we're attacking the opponent's queen. Bishop goes back, and now we're doing a trade over the center. Steinitz captures back, the queen captures back, and now we attack over on e7. Now, black has the opportunity to castle on either side, but in order to stop them from castling, Steinitz has an incredibly good move, and a very simple one too. Rook goes to e1. We're pinning this knight, and if black tries to castle over one side, we can try to win an extra material. If they try to castle over the other side, the same exact thing happens. So, this pin really actually puts the king in its location, making it immobile. In order to get out of this, black pushed the pawn to f6, and now to put more pressure on the pinned piece, white moves the queen to e2. Queen goes to d7, which is a nice idea, supporting this, and Steinitz decided to put more pressure over these semi-open file on c1. Right now, black can move the king to f6, and this is going, f7, and this is going to be a very nice playable position for black. White does have this isolated pawn, but black's king is a little bit open, but the game can be continued after this. However, in this position, black makes a significant mistake. Instead of moving the king to f7 to get out of this pin, they push the pawn to c6. Now we try to open the d file as well. They captured it. We bring the knight to d4, and Steinitz is getting prepared to make an attack. King goes to f7, knight goes to e6, and the knight is going to be well supported by our queen and the rook, and it is going to be putting pressure over g7. So in the future, there is actually ideas like queen g4, trying to capture on g7 to be able to do some nasty attacks on that black king. However, the opponent brought this rook to do a rook trade, and again, we don't have to do a rook trade, and white decided to bring the queen to g4. Even if they capture your rook, you don't have to capture that back right away. We can do what we call a Zwischenzug idea, also called an intermezzo move, which is going to be queen g7. So the opponent stopped it with g6, and this is going to be another incredible move. If you want, you can pause the video right now. White can do a nice little attack. So if you were able to find it, excellent. The move is knight g5. We are going to be attacking the opponent's queen. It's a discovered check. Of course, if they capture us, we can capture the queen, but they don't have to capture our knight. They can also move the king to e8, which is what happened in the game. But after this move, again, the king is going to be moving onto the e file, and the knight is again pinned. So Steinitz does an incredible sacrifice, sacks the rook, and again, they can't capture our rook because we're doing a check. So king didn't capture this. They went to f8. But what would happen if they were to capture this? Well, you can pause the video right now. There's actually a very good attack that we can end up doing right now. So I'll wait a second. Alright, so the idea that we can do is we can actually bring this rook to here. After they capture us back, we can capture this with the queen, and now we actually have an extra knight in this position. The king cannot go anywhere, so they have to block with this queen. And like, if you want, you can just trade the queens right away, or if you want, you can try to push the opponent even more. Like, they can't go to f8 because there's a checkmate from f7. But like, they can still block with the queen. So it is up to you. You can still capture this, and after this, white is winning in a clear advantageous position. That's why they moved the king to f8. And this is where Steinitz shows his brilliance. And if you're wondering why don't we just capture the opponent's rook, that is because they can do a backrank checkmates in a few steps like this. So Steinitz moves the rook to f7. And again, they can capture this, but again, we have the same rook c8 idea. Instead, he moves the king. Now Steinitz is again forcing this. Again, if the queen captures it, there's the same exact idea that we showed. King goes to h8, and then rook goes to h7, check. So after rook h7, black resigned in this game, and this is an incredible position because the rook is still hanging on c1, but white is doing an incredible attack over here. And if they try to go over here, there's actually a checkmate in 10 moves that Steinitz actually saw right in this game, and he actually showed it right after the game finished. If you want, you can try to solve for that. White can try to win the game in 10 moves. Alright, so the idea is that if we bring the rook to g7, they can try to bring this king over here, and then we're going to be doing a check. If they capture, which is their only move, you're going to be bringing the queen to h7, forcing this king to go. And now we are going to be chasing the opponent's king. If they go back, you can do a check this way. After they block with this, now we need to do some other sorts of checks, so we can try to bring our knight, right? Knight can go over here. After knight goes over here, maybe the king will go over here, which is their only square. And now there is this queen d6 checkmate idea. So this is why black resigned in this game. There's actually not very good moves that black can do. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.